WordPress core does a fantastic job of providing essential blocks to help create website content and website frameworks. We all know that. However, sometimes the core blocks are a little bit too basic for client requirements, and I need to replace them with an alternative or to create a custom block. If I add an alternative block, then the client now has two similar choices within the WordPress editor interface. So today I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to remove some of these WordPress core blocks. Hi everyone, welcome to the WPQuickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks in 30 minutes or less. I'm Will Brown, WordPress consultant and educator. I help WordPress designers and developers get more clients and grow their WordPress business. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. Please join the Facebook group. It's the WordPress Sydney Meetup. You can carry on the conversation afterwards here or leave some comments on the Facebook group. That'd be great. Also, check out WPaustralia.org. They've got a list of all the meetups. Some of the meetups are starting to get back together again across Australia. And there's also a link to our WP Australia Slack group, which is the real-time chat for WordPress people in Australia. If you want to chat to people in real time, it's good. I'll leave that up on the screen for a few seconds. You can have a look at that in your own time. The next in-person monthly evening Sydney meetup is the last Monday of every month, 6 p.m. And we're going to be talking about WordPress errors. So common WordPress errors and how to fix them. Please come along. It's at the Microsoft Reactor, which is just next to Wing Your Station. Come along and network with people in person and with others in the WordPress community. And there might even be some pizza to munch along as well. So please do come along for that if you can. It's good to get the in-person meetups back up and running again. Just some more suggestions. You can click on the QR code after the video and let me know some more topics I can queue up for WP Quickies. Okay, that's all the notifications for today. Let me know who you are and where you're from in the comments. We've got Henky SD. You got this. Thank you all. Thanks very much, mate. Okay, so let's talk about removing WP core blocks. Now, I alluded at the very beginning that the WordPress core, it's got a huge amount of actual core blocks that you can work from with the editor. Hey, Jean from the Central Coast, thanks for joining me today. And the blocks are really, really good in general. Now, sometimes though, when you're doing more complicated client websites, then you're evaluating some of these core blocks, and maybe some of them are a little bit too basic for your requirements. So you're again looking for additional blocks, or maybe you've got something in your project to create a custom block for your clients. So when you do that, when you've got the alternative block, we've added a plugin that adds more blocks, where you create your own custom plugin. Now you've got this dilemma where you're letting the client loose on the dashboard, and now they've got two choices, or two similar choices for the same thing. Now, I really like to simplify the process, the editing process for clients, so they only have one clear choice to make. And the easiest thing to do is just to remove the WordPress core blocks that we are replacing with alternate ones. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And I'll give you a little bit of an example. Let's make myself a little bit smaller. There we go. So I use GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks for my last few client projects. You can have a look at them. It's generatepress.com and generateblocks.com. They've got two separate websites. Now, these are pro themes or pro plugins if you want to go down that route. GeneratePress, it's a really lightweight theme, super lightweight. It can work with blogs. It can work with business websites, information websites. It also works really, really well with WooCommerce as well. And it uses the block editor. So the block editor for that. So rather than have its own stuff, or a drag and drop interface like Divi, Beaver Builder, or Elementor, it just uses the WordPress block editor, but it enhances it. And this is where Generate Blocks comes in. Generate Blocks give you a little bit more structure, allows you to do columns and rows, and a little bit more stuff. So you can pretty much do 99% of everything you need in the block editor to create a modern WordPress theme for your clients. Now, Generate Blocks, it comes with quite a few different types of block things, and one of the different blocks is called a headline. You can see here, I've got this block here, which is the Generate Blocks headline. It allows you to do really kind of text-rich or dynamic content, and we're talking about the blocks from H1 through to H6 as well. Here's just an example I mocked up on one of my demo sites here. So in the middle, we've got generate blocks headline. I've got a little icon as well. And you can see on the right-hand side, there's a vast range of options, block options that come with this, just this one particular block. So here we can see you can also change the block the block size, H1 through to H6. You've got typography. So here I've created a different typography. You've got colors as well. You can have icons, left, right, up, down, anywhere you like. There's also dynamic data. So if you want to bring in data such as a username or post title or any other kind of dynamic data, you can bring that straight into that headline block. In fact, you don't even have to have a headline. You can choose it as a paragraph. You can have it as a div as well. So it's really, really super, super creative, super dynamic for that. You can also add all the effects onto it as well, CSS effects, all that sort of stuff. So here, what I've done, I've just styled a very basic headline. It's an H2 headline. I've given it a different typeface. I've increased the font size. I've added a jazzy icon there for that. So it does stand out, and it's a lot more than the WordPress core heading, which we can see here. So this headline block, so it's not a head, it's a headline block, competes with the WordPress core heading block, which is this one here. So again, I've done roughly the same. I've dropped a WordPress core heading block in here. I've just typed something in. And we can see here that it's got fairly basic options. So if you compare it with those before, really all you've got is color. You can do the text of the background. You can change the default size of it, and maybe like kind of letter case. That's about it. Compare with all the options that Generate Block gives with color, typography, icons, all that sort of stuff. It really is a no-brainer. So if you're developing a website for example, marketing departments that are going to be going in, they're going to be doing sales pages, they're going to be on landing pages, they're going to be doing marketing campaigns. They're going to want to be able to do this kind of fancier types of formatting in the pages, which the core block, the core heading block, just does not get for those. So once you've got generate blocks or another plugin installed for that, now you're going to have the conundrum where when the client goes back into the editing interface, they might not quite remember from the training that you took them through maybe 2 or 3 months ago, but now they've got these two choices. They've got heading and headline, and they might not remember which one's which one to use for this. And if unchecked, the client's going to get confused and they're going to end up using a mixture of both. And this is probably going to lead to a support ticket at one point when someone from the marketing team is going to send you an email, send you a call, give you a call to say, where's the icon in the heading? Where's all the fancy formatting? I don't know what's going on. So what we want to do is we want to jump in and we want to remove the WordPress core block for that. So in this case, we're going to be removing that WordPress core heading. So that the only option that the client has is this generate blocks headline option. Okay, so we do have a bit of code here. Now the block editor, it primarily uses JavaScript and React for the user interface nowadays. So you're going to need a way to add a JavaScript to your theme. Now you can do this if you don't already have any JavaScript files that are loaded in admin. You can do this quite easy using this little block snippet here. And I'll put all these snippets up in the comments in the Facebook group and the YouTube in the description, all that sort of things. So you'll have access to these stuff. You will have to, just type them all in from the screen. So this simple little block of code here, and you can add this to your themes functions.php file, or you can use the code snippets plugin. Probably best to use the code snippets plugin, then you don't have to bother about file systems and download and updating your functions.php file. But you can copy this block of code in, and what it's doing is it is loading in a file called editor.js, and it's in the folder /assets/javascript /js within your theme or your child theme. So you're going to have to go and create that file. And once that file is created, this little bit of code that you can just drop into the code snippets, it's going to start to load in that file. And in that file, you can start dropping the JavaScript that's needed to remove the core blocks from those. So again, you can put this little bit of code in your functions.php file, or you can use the plugin code snippets and just add this here for those. It'll load in that file, but you have to create that folder assets, that folder JS if it doesn't already exist, and then that file editor.js. But once that's done, then you can edit that file and then put all this JavaScript code that's coming in there. There's an alternative. if you don't want to mess around with two files or an additional file, then here's a little bit of PHP that you can put into your function.php file or your code snippets. And what we do is you just copy that block, paste it in, and then when it has the slash slash paste the GS code here, and underneath that line, you just copy the JavaScript file. So if you don't want to muck around with doing it, with a separate file that way, then there's a little bit of block of code that you can just put into your code snippets, and then just paste the JavaScript under that yellow line there, and then it will still work exactly the same. Okay, now, okay, so deregistering the heading WordPress core block, and it's really, really simple. So the following JavaScript code, it's going to what we call unregister. So all the core blocks are registered with WordPress, so that they know what they are. So what we do undo that. It's called unregistering, and this little simple bit of code that says when the WordPress is ready, when the JavaScript DOM is ready, then just execute this little bit of code, and it's wp.blocks.unregister block type, and then we give a block type name. And in this instance, the name that we want to remove is core/heading. So that's what the WordPress core heading block is called. That's how it's registered. So you just want to undo that. And again, that bit of code here, you can copy those 3 lines and you can paste it underneath here, where it says paste the JS code here. Or if you're using the more complicated than this one, then you're going to go into your editor.js file and then copy that bit of code into there. Both ways will work. Don't do them both, just choose one. But then once you refresh your WordPress website, your admin, then you'll notice that heading, the WordPress heading, will have disappeared. So it's a real quick way of getting rid of things with WordPress core. If you don't want your client to be using those WordPress core blocks, it's a really, really quick way of just removing those, so it kind of streamlines the whole process as well. So that was the WordPress core heading block, but there's lots of other blocks that you can get rid of as well. I'll just make myself disappear. So I just removed the heading WordPress core block, but if you want to remove more, here's a current list of block editor WordPress 6.03 core blocks. So that's the current version just now, excluding all the embedded blocks, because for us, there's quite a lot of those for those. Now, if you want to see the full list of those, then you can navigate to the folder wp-includes/blocks, and you'll see a whole bunch of folders down there, and the folders will be called core/archives, core/audio, core/classics. The folder name is what you want to use in the snippet here to remove whatever core block that you are looking for. So let's have a look at some of them here. Run myself here. So we've got core archives, audio buttons, calendar. We've got columns. We've got files. We've got gallery, groups. Heading is the one. So in that first column, about 3/4 of the way down, core/heading. That's the one that we used. There's all these other blocks that have been registered for the WordPress editor, and any of these that you can remove at any time. And when you unregister it using this little code snippet here, so you just put separate lines. So wp.blocks, you use 1 line per block to remove them. For those, you can put any of these in, and then when the person goes to edit in the WordPress editor, then that block will not appear in the drop down or in the search when they're searching for boxes for blocks to try and put in their edited thing. So a really, really easy way of getting rid of these WordPress core block types and preventing your clients from being able to use them. And again, really, really useful if you're wanting to replace WordPress core blocks with something else. For example, the image one. I think there's an image there. Let's have a look. Hide myself. Yes, there is. So core/image. So for example, if you found that the WordPress core image block was a bit pants, then you can replace that with another block. There's heaps of blocks out there. People are developing plugins with additional blocks for the editor all the time. So you can get rid of the core block, and then you can just let your client just use that particular block that you've developed, or you've found as a plugin. So removing WordPress core blocks, it requires a little bit of PHP, a little bit of JavaScript code, not too much though, but it's a fairly easy task to do. And once you've got that scaffold in place for that separate file or that particular code block, then you can just place any of those, that 1 line of JavaScript, you can just copy that and then remove any of the registered core blocks and remove the ones that you need from the editor. And so if you've got any questions about that, please drop them in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer those. And while I'm waiting on some comments coming through, if there's any, please connect with me. That's my details there. So I've got a new website, willbrown.com. Please check out that. I've got some new articles that are coming out soon and got some courses and things as well. But mostly on LinkedIn these days. A little bit active on Instagram and sometimes, but really on Twitter. Sometimes I do go to Twitter for a little bit. I can't see any comments coming through. That's okay. For next week, I'm going to be talking about WordPress CLI. So WP CLI, what is it? How to install it, how to use it as well. So if that's something that interests you, please join me next week. So thank you for taking the time this week, and I'll see you next week for what is WP CLI. Thanks, everyone. Bye.